I'm Steve.
And I'm Kelly.
And this is Coupled with Chaos.
Accused, Guilty or Innocent, Season 7, Episode 12, Hit and Run or Tragic Accident. Nobody was shot this time. No one was shot in the making of this Accused, Guilty or Innocent. Not to make light, but someone did pass away. We did not do last week. It was an after the verdict. This one happened in 2019 in Fort Lauderdale. A man named Stephen Luden was hit by a car driven by Heidi Bartels. She was leaving work. A person crossed the street, not at a crosswalk, and she struck him and went about 4 blocks and stopped. Called not 911, but called a relative, and in that call said that she had hit someone. The police ended up coming, and this is kind of where everything checks in, you know.
Now, I'd like to start with a couple of comments.
All right.
One, she told her aunt that she hit someone because while she was talking to her aunt, she was standing in the middle of the road where she left her car, not parked, but literally in the middle of a side road.
Mm-hmm.
And said that she saw ambulances coming, so she assumed she must have hit a person, even though she didn't know for sure at the time that it happened. The other comment is, how the heck did she even drive those 4 blocks as smashed as her windshield was?
That windshield was, it looked like, honestly, like a cinder block was dropped from an overpass and hit her driver's side windshield.
Yeah, it was completely shattered. I don't know how she saw anything to even get where she was.
The timing, maybe let's stick right with that. And the timing of her calling her aunt, they said, I forget what they said, how long it would take to drive those 4 city blocks.
15 seconds.
So in 15 seconds, I can't believe, honestly, that ambulance and police cars were on the way in 15 seconds. Right, I cannot.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, unless they were nearby. I thought that was odd.
She could have heard something else or other police or other fire department people, but there's no way in that time frame. Even 15 seconds, she comes to... Give it a minute.
She said she saw the flashing light.
Give it a minute.
While she was on the phone to her.
I mean, legitimately, what do you think it would take to get lights and sirens moving?
I mean, it would depend. Somebody could have been in the area. I mean, it is a big city.
So they would have called.
Well, there was somebody behind her who saw the accident happen and reported it.
That old guy ain't calling anybody very quickly. You could see he could barely move. But, I mean, legitimately, how long, assuming it was a phone call, how long do you think it would have taken somebody to make a call? If they were there.
A minute.
Yeah, so there's a minute. She's 15 seconds to drive. Let's give it even a minute or 2 for her to gather her wits and call somebody, right?
Uh-huh.
I just have a hard time accepting that statement as the truth. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm just saying I just got to think your first call has to be 911.
You would think, but I mean, obviously, when you're shaken up, you know.
Yeah, that is part 2 of this.
And she's a younger person.
How young is young? What would you call young?
20s.
Yeah. Isn't she, I believe, 27 is what I got her as, is what it seems like I remember. At some point, you're not young.
20s is still young.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't experienced a lot as an adult.
I don't know.
Especially these days, because people live at home so much longer than they used to.
I was trying to put our daughter in this situation. And
I mean, our kid was 25 when he left home.
Yeah, I get it. So if you're our daughter and this happens, could you see her panicking and not really knowing what to do?
Sure.
Yeah,
especially as someone with anxiety.
This is where I tried to put this event. I tried to go, what would happen if this happened to her? And I think that she, although we've been preached since we've been kids, right? 911, 911. I'm not sure how in her faculties she would have been, even if it wasn't a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I could also see how in the situation you could see how you didn't know what had happened.
Right, exactly.
We were driving from dinner over to our daughter's house, and there's a line of barrels there, and there was one barrel sticking out, and you struck it. But again, as you're driving there, at least on the driver's side, you go, I'm right along the barrels, and so I see this steady stream of barrels. One's missing, and you hit something. In that scenario, could it have been a person? If you weren't in the passenger seat and there was a person standing there waiting to cross, and I come through and I hit a person with my mirror,
you didn't notice the barrel, so if it was a person,
sure.
you may not have noticed that.
Yeah, like
it was dark.
Yes.
It was out of place.
Yep. And so you put all of your own personal situations here, and I go, in that scenario, it could have been a person.
Especially when they showed the circumstances where they had trees in the median and the person stepped out from the median, not in a crosswalk, so not where you would anticipate there being a person, nor would you necessarily see them coming for more than a second, because she was in the middle lane and they stepped out from the median, what is that, 2-3 steps, and they're in front of you.
Yeah, so I could see in this scenario where you would go, she's probably not at fault for the accident, and that's not what she was charged with. It was
leaving the scene of where someone died.
Yeah, leaving the scene of an accident involving death. 4-year minimum up to 30 years would have been her charge.
I strongly felt that her attorney was excellent.
Right.
I think that they did a great job of focusing on getting the experts for the prosecution to call the whole 4-block radius a single crime scene.
So, yeah,
which
kind
meant
of talk
that she
about
didn't
that.
leave the crime scene.
Talk about what they did with that officer. I think that was really interesting. Everybody
in the prosecution side was trying to say that she left the scene because she drove 4 blocks. And they dragged it out in a dramatic way during the testimony by saying she was on 21st Street and didn't turn on 22nd or 23rd or 24th or whatever, all the way down.
And they walked it. They had a police officer walk the scene, not drive it.
And show the body cam. But that's not the same. Walking's a whole lot slower than driving, and especially driving 40 miles per hour.
They talked about what they roped off, which was, I think, the interesting thing.
And so they were saying she had all these opportunities, and they counted how many places she could have pulled off that she passed and didn't stop, and tried to make it sound worse, I think, than it actually was. And then the defense attorney very coolly got up and quickly just got them to acknowledge, well, what was the crime scene that you marked? And they said from this block where it happened to the block where she pulled off. And they said, so is it safe to say then that this was one active crime scene? And they said, yes. And they said, what was your crime scene? This 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Okay. So then how can she have left the scene of the crime if this is one crime scene?
Brilliant, really.
Well, yeah. Who could argue that? I mean, they talked themselves right into it.
I think when you're in I'm in a lot of serious conversations at times, and you'd like to think that you have your wits about you, and, maybe somebody on his team helped him, whatever it could be, but that you could be that calm and think that clearly in that situation to go, hey, this is it.
That was pretty smart.
It was, and maybe they knew it beforehand, and this was a plan. And
really brilliant, actually. I was so impressed.
Yeah, I went, oh, that's smooth. They really did a good job of how can I leave the scene if she was within the scene.
Right, because they said, well, if somebody's not at the crime scene, then you mark another scene, correct? They're like, yes. So that would be two scenes, the scene of crime and the scene of where the person was found. Yeah, the evidence. They said, but this is one scene you marked, right? And they said, yes. Okay. Then she didn't leave the scene of the crime.
Thank you for listening.
You can listen to the rest of this episode
by subscribing to our Coupled with Chaos channel on Apple,
by subscribing to our Patreon,
or by subscribing to our Supercast
for $3.99 a month,
where you can hear us talk about reality shows,
real life, and more on our podcasts,
covering shows airing on TLC, A&E, Bravo, and the WE Network.
Just follow the instructions in the show notes.
Tell your friends about this podcast.
And rate and review us on your favorite podcast player.
Follow us at Coupled with Chaos on all the socials.
Or contact us directly by email at coupledwithchaos@gmail.com.